What is up, guys? This is Jimmy the Insomniac Cricket here, and I'm bringing you Season 1 of the ASL Wi-Fi Draft League, and I am your coach of the Duke Blue Dooms, and as you can see here, we are pick number 11 out of 12. This was a 12-man draft league, and the way it worked was you got 3 high-tier mons, 4 low-tier mons, and 3 no, 5 mid-tier mons, excuse me, and then 3 low-tier mons, and that totaled to be 11 mons, and you had 110 points, so each mon had a different point total, and then you could pick up to 3 Terra Captains with 25 points. The mons tiering determined what their Terra points were. So, in this draft, we were essentially like the wheel. We had to back into the draft, but then we pretty much got to pick immediately because it's a snake style draft. So without further ado, our first pick in the draft was Ogre Pond Wellspring, the water grass type Pokemon with water absorb as its ability. I'm super excited to use this guy. It gets U-turn, it gets the Ivy Cudgel move, which is a base 100 water type attack. It gets spikes, it gets Swords Dance. It is such a good Pokemon. I'm super excited to try it out. I haven't had the chance to try it out in the DLC yet, as unfortunately I couldn't afford DLC right now. But I'm super excited to get to use it. It was one of our mid-tier picks, as it was not a very expensive Pokemon, but I was very excited for him to be on our team. He was not allowed to be a Terra Captain, but that's okay. I think he's still going to be super strong. And pairing up with him, I got Great Tusk, who I am super excited to use. I really like this Pokemon. I liked it when they announced it. I liked it when I saw it in game. I am so over the moon to try this Pokemon out. And it's a fighting and ground type, which means it's weak to water, but water isn't a problem because Ogerpon has water absorb and it's a water grass type, so it's going to beat the water Pokemon trying to beat up my Great Tusk. I'm over the moon about this Pokemon. It also gets Stealth Rocks, Rapid Spin, hits super hard, and it could be, an attack Pokemon or it could be defensive. And in this league, it is allowed to use Booster Energy, which allows it to set off its ability, which gives it +1 in whatever its highest stat is. Normally, they'd be activated by the sun, but in this, we can give it Booster Energy. This was our first high tier Pokemon. I'm so excited to use this Pokemon. I think it's going to be really good, and I'm excited to see how well it works with the team. Speaking of the team, in pick 3, we got Heatran. Heatran is a Fire Steel type, and I felt like it really came in and did a lot of things good for this team. It can be bulky, it can hit hard if needs be, it gets Stealth Rocks, it switches in on things. I can run Air Balloon for the ground types, and it doesn't like water, but again, Ogerpon doesn't care about your water types. Ogerpon doesn't really care about your ground types or your rock types either. Donphan definitely doesn't, or Great Tusk, excuse me, definitely doesn't care about your rock types or your ground types very much. But this right here deals with the fairy types that my Great Tusk doesn't want to have to switch into. It also deals with steel types. It also deals with grass types and ice types, which Ogerpon isn't going to want to deal with because freeze dry would be very detrimental to my Ogerpon's health. Heatran is here to kind of just be that defensive powerhouse that it needs to be, but it also can be very offensive. So don't sleep on the idea of Heatran being offensive. And with our next pick in the draft, round 4, I drafted Salamence, our first Terra captain, and I am super excited. So Dragonite was not allowed to Terra, but Salamence is. And I chose to do the flying type Terra as well as the steel type Terra because Salamence only gets dual wing beat as a physical flying move. So this way I can run Terra Flying, which is a more reliable, stronger flying type attack. But steel allows it to not be worried about fairy or its 4 times weakness to ice. I think Salamence is going to really impress people this time around. I was excited to get it. I'm excited to try it. I've used it once before. It was really difficult to use because it's 4 times weak to ice. That's not a problem in this. So I really hope it works out well. I'm super excited to give it a shot. I think it's going to hit really hard. Moxie Salamence could just run through people. Dragon Dance, Choice Scarf, Intimidate, all of the things Salamence does, I'm still going to be doing, but on a better scale. I'm excited. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Our next pick was Hisuian Zoroark. What can I say? This thing is fast. It has illusion, which means you're never going to know what's in on the field. It hits relatively hard, actually, physically or specially. It gets U-turn. It blocks rapid spin, and its only weakness is dark type Pokemon. And I can deal with dark types with Great Tusk. And the next pick of our team, which is Galarian Weezing, the Poison Fairy, and this is the Pokemon I'm the most excited about. It gets Defog. Defog gets rid of hazards. And yes, most of the time Defog isn't great because there's a defiant Pokemon like Annihilate. There's competitive Pokemon like Empoleon. But I get the ability neutralizing gas, which means I can defog in front of these Pokemon without concern. It means Annihilate isn't going to just sit there and get a Defiant boost off of my defog. Annihilate doesn't hit this thing very hard anyway. It's a defensive Weezing. I'm excited. I think this thing is going to put in a lot of work for my team defensively. It also gets Levitate. Not scared of the ground type. It also gets Misty Terrain, or I think it's Misty Surge is the technical ability, which sets Misty Terrain, which prevents statusing. So I don't have to worry about getting burnt on my Great Tusk, or on my Ogerpon, or on my Hisuian Zoroark. Or Salamence. That's huge, right? No Toxicking. This thing has 3 fantastic abilities, a really good typing. I think this is going to be a really solid piece for my team this year. With our next pick, we drafted Frostmoth, the Terra captain of this team, which I chose Ice for the obvious reason Ice is just better than Bug, and then Water because now it's not scared of your fire types. It's not scared of your rock types. It hits your steel types for, neutral damage and resist their attacks. I believe water resists steel. I may be wrong on that. Don't quote me. Water is just such a fantastic typing for this thing defensively. It gets Ice Scales. Special attacks, not worried. It gets Quiver Dance, can sweep. I've had Frostmoth before. I did really, really great things with it when I had it before. I'm really excited to use it again. Don't be shocked if this thing doesn't have some kill leaders occasionally during the weeks. And to pair with my Frostmoth, we grabbed a Alolan Ninetales. And I get it. That's 2 ice types. That also is 2 fairy types. I get it. I do. Aurora Veil. Fantastic. Especially with this team. Aurora Veil into Salamence. And now I'm setting up behind Aurora Veil. Snow is new now. It's not hail. You're not taking damage on your whole team, but instead my ice types get a defense boost. Frostmoth now has ice scales with a defense boost behind Aurora Veil. I'm clicking Quiver Dance. There's nothing you can do about it. This thing behind Aurora Veil clicks Nasty Plot in the snow. Blizzard. What are you switching into it? This thing also could just be Choice Scarfed. Choice Spexed. Who knows? This is a really good Pokemon. I think it's going to be great for this team. It's a little redundant on the typings, I understand, but I think that's okay. The things that really want to pressure this don't pressure Great Tusk. They don't pressure Heatran. They don't pressure Salamence if it's Terra. I have answers to most of my problems without having a problem. I think this thing's going to be fantastic. Our next pick was Crocolore. Now, this is kind of one of those like small picks where I needed something that wasn't super expensive in points, but he's really bulky with Eviolite. He gets unaware, so I'm not worried about getting set up on and swept by certain Pokemon. This thing can switch into a lot of different moves, a lot of different hits. It gets Slack Off, so I can switch in and, Willow something and just cripple a physical attacker. I think it gets Toxic if I'm not mistaken. Like, it's a pretty good Pokemon. It's not something that'll probably come often. It probably doesn't come most weeks. But I got a feeling there are going to be some weeks where this thing can really, really come in and just kind of do things that a lot of other Pokemon wouldn't be able to do. So I'm excited for this little guy. And I might be shocked it may not ever come. But I do think it may see the field at least once or twice. I think it's pretty good. Our next pick, we got Honchkrow. This is my third Terra Captain. This is why I couldn't do Crocalor as a Terra Captain. Dark Terra with Sucker Punch, Super Luck with Scope Lens, almost a guaranteed crit on a priority move, boosted by the Terra, and I get rid of my Ice weakness. This thing is going to hit like a truck. Moxie, and if I don't want to do Super Luck, all of a sudden I'm racking up Moxie boost. Flying's hard to switch into. Dark's hard to switch into if you don't have a good fairy type. This thing is going to be monstrous. And then I chose Ground as its other Terra because the Terra rules were 1 stab, 1 non-stab. Chose Ground. Your electric types, they don't want to come in on that. Your rock types, not coming in on it either. The ice types are still a little bit of an issue, but I'll just switch into my Heatran. It doesn't really care. I kill the electric types now. I kill the rock types now. I don't take a lot of stealth rock damage. This guy right here has all the potential in the world to be a really, really great Pokemon for me. I'm excited. This was one of my most exciting picks in my opinion of the draft. I didn't realize how good it could be until I started looking at it more. This thing could be really, really, really good at only 3 points. And in our final pick of the draft, we got Vigoroth. This thing right here, if you look, I looked at its stats. Eviolite Vigoroth is going to be a very hard Pokemon to break. It gets really bulky. It's got decent speed. It's got insane coverage. It gets knockoff, which is huge. And it gets slack off. It's going to recover its health. I don't even necessarily have to run this thing Eviolite. It's got decent bulk on its own, and it's pretty fast. Who knows? Choice Scarf Vigoroth and knockoff maybe. That could be interesting. It's also only weak to fighting, which means it switches in on a lot of things. And it's got coverage for days. I think this Pokemon will see the field. I think this is a 7-week season. I think this thing may see the field 3 of those 7 games. I don't know. I haven't looked at my schedule yet. We don't have the schedule just yet. But I could see this thing seeing the field 3 times, 4. But I may be wrong. It might be like Crocalor. I may be overestimating its value. But I am very excited for it. I think it could be really good. I can see every Pokemon I drafted coming. I don't feel like I top-heavy my draft. The one question would be Crocalor. I think he is going to be a bit more of a niche pick. I could see me dropping him potentially for something else. The issue is there's not a lot in that 1 or 2 point tier area to really. There's not a lot that really gives me any bonus. So I don't know. We'll see. When this video goes live, the grace period is still active. So that may be a change that happens prior to this, like prior to week 1. If so, I'll let you guys know. But I think I'm going to roll with this team for week 1 and kind of just see how we are. But I'm excited, guys. I hope you are too. Here's one last look at the team. If you're new here, please make sure you subscribe, like the video, and let me know which one of these Pokemon is your favorite, what you're most excited for, who you think is going to put in crazy work. I'm excited to hear your comments and concerns. If you have concerns, let me know. Maybe we can address them. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited for this league. I'm excited for my first ever Wi-Fi draft league. I'm also excited to be back posting content. Hopefully there's going to be some more content coming soon. I just got to figure out exactly what I want to do and how I want to do it. But keep your eyes peeled because I'm really hoping that there's going to be more stuff coming soon. But until then, I guarantee you there will be a battle up next week, week 1 of the ASL Wi-Fi League. Make sure you come through and support your Duke Blue Dooms as we go all the way to the moon.